President Yunji stood before the largest gathering in galactic history. Representatives from every Federation world had come to the human system to witness what many believed would be the most important decision ever made. The Great Assembly Hall had been built in just 2 weeks using human construction technology, and it floated in space between the human worlds and the Federation fleet like a symbol of cooperation. The president was younger than most galactic leaders, but she carried herself with the quiet confidence that came from knowing her people's true history. Around her sat the Human Council, including Elder Kyung-ho, Professor Min-ho, and Admiral Hai-wan. Across from them sat Chancellor Jin-ae and the Federation leadership, along with General Wu Jin, who looked very different from the angry military commander he had been just days before. "Friends and colleagues," President Yunji began, her voice carrying clearly through the hall's advanced acoustics. "We have gathered here to decide the future of our galaxy, not as conquerors and conquered, not as superiors and inferiors, but as family members who have been separated for too long." Chancellor Jin-ae had been elected just 3 days earlier, in an emergency Federation session. She was a moderate leader from the outer colonies, someone who had always believed in cooperation over conflict. The revelation about humanity had split the Federation government, with some worlds demanding immediate submission to human authority, while others wanted to reject the truth entirely. Jin-ae represented a middle path. "President Yunji," the Chancellor said, standing to address the Assembly, "the Federation acknowledges the truth of what has been revealed. We accept that human civilization preceded ours, that our technology and even our values were inherited from your people. The question now is what we do with this knowledge." General Wu Jin rose from his seat. The proud military commander had spent the past week in deep discussion with human historians and scientists. What he had learned had changed him completely. "I must speak for those in the Federation military who initially saw humanity as a threat. We were wrong, not just about human intentions, but about the very nature of strength and power." He turned to face Professor Min-ho. "Professor, your people could have destroyed our entire fleet in seconds. Instead, you treated us like children having a tantrum, holding us gently until we calmed down. That showed us something more powerful than any weapon: true wisdom." Dr. Bora had been working with human scientists for days, and the discoveries she had made were reshaping everything she thought she knew about the universe. The knowledge that humans are willing to share could advance Federation science by thousands of years. Medical techniques that could eliminate disease, energy systems that could power entire star systems without environmental damage, transportation methods that could make travel between galaxies as simple as walking between rooms. Captain Sung-ho, a young human officer who had never known life outside the Edge colonies, stepped forward. He represented the new generation of humans who would need to work with other species if cooperation was to succeed. "With respect, the question is not what we can give you, but what we can build together. Human knowledge without Federation creativity and diversity would be incomplete. We need each other." President Yunji nodded approvingly at the young captain's words. "Captain Sung-ho speaks the truth that my people learned long ago. No single species, no matter how advanced, can reach its full potential in isolation. We withdrew from the galaxy not because we were superior, but because we had forgotten that lesson ourselves." Chancellor Jin-ae looked around the assembly hall at the representatives of hundreds of worlds. "Some of our member worlds have already indicated they cannot accept this new reality. They prefer to maintain their independence rather than acknowledge human contributions to their civilization. And that is their right," President Yunji replied without hesitation. "We will not force cooperation on anyone. The choice must be freely made or it has no value." Elder Kyung-ho rose slowly from his chair. Despite his great age, his voice was strong as he addressed the assembly. 50,000 years ago, some species chose conflict over cooperation, and the result was a war that devastated the galaxy. Today we have the chance to choose differently, not because we must, but because we can. The debate that followed lasted for hours. Representatives spoke about fears, hopes, practical concerns, and philosophical questions. Some worried that accepting human leadership would mean losing their independence. Others argued that rejecting human partnership would mean missing the greatest opportunity in galactic history. Finally, Chancellor Jin-ae called for the historic vote. "All worlds that choose to join the new galactic accord will work as equals with humanity, to explore beyond our galaxy and build something greater than any of us could achieve alone. All worlds that choose independence will be respected and left in peace." There will be no punishment for either choice. The voting process took most of the day. When it was finished, nearly 80% of Federation worlds had chosen to join the new accord. The remaining 20% chose independence, and true to their word, the humans and their new partners made no effort to change their minds. President Yunji stood to address the new Galactic Accord for the first time. To those who have chosen to join us, welcome to a new chapter in galactic history. To those who have chosen independence, you remain our neighbors and friends. Our doors will always be open if you decide to join us later. Professor Minho activated a massive display that showed the space beyond their galaxy. For the first time, the assembled representatives saw what human long-range sensors had been detecting for thousands of years. Other galaxies, some showing signs of intelligent life, stretched out into the infinite darkness of space. This is why we revealed ourselves now, Professor Minho explained. Our galaxy has grown as much as it can while remaining isolated. The next stage of development requires us to reach beyond our borders and make contact with entirely different forms of life. Captain Sung Ho stepped beside the professor. The first joint exploration mission will launch in 6 months. Human technology, Federation diversity, and the courage to explore the unknown together. We will carry the combined knowledge and values of all our civilizations to the stars themselves. Dr. Bora was already volunteering for the mission, along with hundreds of other scientists from dozens of worlds. The prospect of discovering entirely new forms of life and intelligence was more exciting than anything in their previous careers. Commander Tai Min, who had started this entire journey by investigating strange energy readings at the galaxy's edge, looked around the assembly hall with amazement. A week ago, we thought we knew everything about our place in the universe. Now we realize we haven't even begun to explore what's possible. General Wu Jin, now serving as military coordinator for the Joint Exploration Project, was working with human defense specialists to design ships that could handle the unknown dangers of intergalactic travel. We're not just exploring new territory, he said. We're becoming something new ourselves. As the Great Assembly concluded, President Yunji offered final words that would be remembered for thousands of years. Today we have chosen cooperation over conflict, exploration over isolation, and hope over fear. Whatever we find in the darkness between galaxies, we will face it together as one people with many faces, united in our determination to grow and learn and build something beautiful among the stars. The new Galactic Accord was born not from conquest or submission, but from the recognition that some dreams are too big for any one species to achieve alone. As their first joint exploration ships prepared for launch, carrying crews from dozens of worlds, the galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath in anticipation of what they might discover in the vast unknown that lay beyond the stars. General Wu Jin stood on the bridge of the massive Federation battleship Victory of Worlds, watching the human star system grow larger on his screens. Behind him stretched the largest military fleet in Federation history. 300 warships carrying enough firepower to destroy entire planets. He had convinced the Federation Council that humanity represented a threat that needed to be dealt with immediately and decisively. Sir, we're receiving multiple communication requests from the human settlements, reported his communications officer. They're asking us to identify ourselves and state our intentions. Ignore them, Wu Jin ordered coldly. We didn't come here to talk. We came here to solve a problem before it gets worse. Back on the human space station, Professor Minho watched the approaching fleet with calm interest rather than fear. He was a small man with gentle eyes, but he carried himself with the confidence of someone who understood forces that others could not imagine. Around him, his engineering team worked quietly at their control stations, making small adjustments to systems that had been waiting 50,000 years for this moment. Professor, should we alert the evacuation centers? Asked one of his younger assistants, a woman named Su Young who had been born on this station and had never seen such a large military force. That won't be necessary, Minho replied peacefully. General Wu Jin is about to learn something very important about the difference between power and wisdom. Commander Tai Min was frantically trying to reach both fleets from his diplomatic shuttle. The revelations in the human archives had left his team struggling to understand the implications. But one thing was clear. A military confrontation would be a disaster for everyone involved. General Wu Jin, this is Commander Tai Min, he called over the communication channel. You need to stop your advance immediately. The situation here is far more complex than you understand. Commander, you have been compromised by alien influence, Wu Jin replied harshly. Return to your ship immediately. We will handle this threat according to Federation military protocol. Dr. Bora was working desperately at her scientific instruments, trying to analyze the defensive systems around the human worlds. What she found made her hands shake with fear. Commander, the humans have weapon systems that don't appear on any of our scans. But the power readings, they're beyond anything in our databases. Captain Jinwoo was studying tactical displays that made no sense. Sir, I can't identify most of the human defensive positions. It's like they're using technology that operates on completely different principles from ours. The Federation fleet moved into attack formation as General Wu Jin prepared to demonstrate Federation superiority. All ships target the largest human installations. We will show them what happens when primitives hiding at the edge of space think they can threaten galactic stability. Weapons charged and ready, sir, reported his tactical officer. Fire. 300 Federation warships unleashed their full firepower at once. Energy beams and missile salvos that could level mountains streaked through space toward human targets. It was enough destructive force to conquer an entire star system. But something impossible happened. The attack simply stopped existing. Every energy beam, every missile, every destructive force that had been fired at the humans disappeared, as if it had never been there at all. The space around the human worlds remained perfectly clear and peaceful, with no signs of battle or destruction. What just happened? Wu Jin demanded, staring at his tactical displays in confusion. Where did our weapons go? Professor Minho activated a communication channel that reached every ship in the Federation fleet. His calm voice filled their bridges as he spoke with the patience of a teacher addressing confused students. General Wu Jin, you have just witnessed the first principle of human defensive technology. We do not destroy attacks against us. We simply redirect the energy to more useful purposes. Your weapons fire is currently powering our planetary shield systems and charging our deep space communication networks. Thank you for the contribution. The general's face turned red with anger. Impossible. No technology can simply make weapons disappear. Your science will catch up eventually, Minho replied gently. But perhaps we should demonstrate the second principle of human defensive systems. Without any visible movement or energy discharge from the human side, every Federation ship in the fleet suddenly found itself unable to move. Their engines were still running, their power systems were still active, but they hung motionless in space as if held by invisible hands. We are not damaging your ships, Minho explained as Federation crews tried desperately to regain control of their vessels. We are simply holding them in place until you are ready to listen, rather than fight. Your crews are in no danger, and your ships will suffer no harm. Dr. Bora was running every scan she could think of, but her instruments showed nothing that could explain what was happening to the Federation fleet. This is impossible. There's no energy beam holding us, no tractor field, no gravitational anomaly. We're just stuck. General Wu Jin was screaming orders at his crew, demanding that they find a way to break free. But every system check showed that their ships were functioning perfectly. They simply could not move in any direction. General, Professor Minho's voice continued calmly, your ships are being held in place by the same force that keeps planets in orbit around stars and holds atoms together in molecules. We learned long ago how to work with the fundamental forces of the universe rather than against them. Commander Tae-min managed to establish a private communication channel with the human professor. Professor Minho, please don't hurt them. General Wu Jin is acting out of fear, not evil. The Federation Council didn't fully understand what they were ordering. We have no intention of harming anyone, Minho assured him. That is not the human way. We are simply providing a demonstration of why violence is not an effective solution to this situation. On his battleship, General Wu Jin was beginning to understand that he had made a terrible mistake. His weapons were useless, his ships were powerless, and the humans had not even begun to show their true capabilities. How are you doing this? Professor Minho's image appeared on screens throughout the Federation fleet. We are doing this the same way we built our civilization 50,000 years ago. Through understanding, patience, and the wisdom to use power responsibly. Your species will learn these things too in time. Are you going to destroy us? One of Wu Jin's junior officers asked, his voice filled with fear. Destroy you? Minho seemed genuinely surprised by the question. Why would we destroy you? You are our students, just as your ancestors were long ago. Students sometimes need correction, but they should never be punished for learning. Slowly, carefully, Professor Minho began to release the Federation ships from their invisible bonds. One by one, they regained the ability to move, though their weapon systems remained completely inactive. You are free to leave whenever you choose, Minho announced. But before you go, there is something you should understand. The power we have just demonstrated is not special or unique. Every human child learns these principles in school. What you have seen today is not our military technology. It is simply basic human engineering. The implications hit everyone at the same moment. If this was basic human technology, what could they do if they were actually trying to fight? The answer was terrifying and humbling at the same time. General Wu Jin sat down heavily in his command chair. What do you want from us? The same thing we have always wanted, Minho replied with infinite gentleness. To see you grow, to learn, to become the best version of yourselves that you can be. The galaxy is vast and beautiful, and there is room in it for all of us to thrive together. As the Federation fleet hung motionless in space, held gently in place by forces they could not understand, every person aboard those ships knew that the galaxy had just changed forever. Elder Kyung-ho moved slowly through the underground tunnels, but his mind was still sharp despite his great age. Commander Taemin and his team followed behind him, their footsteps echoing in corridors that seemed to stretch forever into the depths of the human world. The walls were covered with symbols and images that told stories older than any civilization in the known galaxy. These archives have been growing for 50,000 years, the elder explained as they walked. Every major event, every discovery, every tragedy in galactic history is recorded here. We have watched civilizations rise and fall, and we have kept their stories safe even when they forgot them themselves. Dr. Bora ran her hand along the wall, feeling the smooth surface that somehow held vast amounts of information. How is this possible? Our best storage systems can barely hold 1,000 years of detailed records. Human technology developed differently than what you know now, Kyung-ho replied, with a gentle smile. We learned to work with materials and energy in ways that your current science is only beginning to understand. But technology is not why we brought you here. We brought you here for the truth. They entered a massive chamber that took their breath away. The ceiling disappeared into darkness high above them, and the walls were covered with moving images that showed the history of the galaxy. Captain Jinwoo stared at battles between ships he did not recognize, at worlds that no longer existed, at species that had been lost to time. This is the real history, Kyung-ho said, gesturing to the walls around them. Not the simplified version that survived in your Federation records, but the complete story of what actually happened. A new voice spoke from behind them. Ambassador Yejin had arrived from the Federation ship, but she looked troubled. Elder, I have been reviewing the data you sent to our ship. Some of these records contradict everything we know about Federation history. Our own archives show different dates, different events, different outcomes. Kyung-ho nodded sadly. That is because your archives were deliberately changed. Come, let me show you what really happened during the Foundation Wars. The walls around them shifted to show images from thousands of years ago. They saw great fleets of ships fighting desperate battles among the stars. But these were not the heroic conflicts described in Federation history books. These battles were brutal and terrible, with entire worlds burning and populations fleeing into space. Your history books say the Foundation Wars were fought to bring peace and unity to the galaxy, Kyung-ho said. They say the Federation founders were heroes who united squabbling species under one banner of cooperation. That is partially true, but it leaves out the most important part. The images changed to show a council meeting in a grand chamber. Dr. Bora recognized some of the species represented there, but others were completely unknown to her. Who are those other species? I don't recognize them from any Federation records. That is because they were erased, Kyung-ho replied quietly. Those species opposed the formation of the Federation, not because they were evil or warlike, but because they remembered the truth about humans and wanted us to return from exile. They were eliminated not just from the galaxy, but from history itself. Commander Taemin felt sick as he watched the images change to show the destruction of entire worlds. The Federation founders did this? Not all of them, Kyung-ho clarified. Many of the founders were good people who truly wanted peace, but they were guided by others who had different goals. The same species who had originally driven us into exile were the ones who really controlled the formation of the Federation. Ambassador Ye Jin stepped closer to the wall displays. This suggests there was a deliberate conspiracy to hide the truth about human civilization. But why? What did they gain by keeping humanity secret? The images on the wall shifted again, showing technological developments throughout Federation history. Dr. Bora gasped as she recognized pattern after pattern. Those innovations, they're not original developments. They're copies of human technology. Every major breakthrough in Federation science came from studying human ruins, Kyung-ho confirmed. Faster than light travel, universal translation, energy shields, artificial gravity, medical healing technology. All of it was originally created by humans and then rediscovered by Federation scientists who had no idea what they were really finding. Jin Woo was studying a display showing ancient human cities. These ruins are scattered all across Federation space. We've been excavating them for thousands of years, thinking they were built by unknown ancient species. They were built by us, Kyung-ho said with quiet pride. We lived on every world that now hosts a major Federation civilization. We built the infrastructure that your species later adapted for your own use. The great spaceports, the planetary defense networks, the communication relay systems, all human engineering. Dr. Bora was running calculations in her head. If this is true, then human civilization was far more advanced than anything we have today. Why didn't you fight back when the others turned against you? You could have easily won any war. The elder's expression became very sad, because winning would have required us to become the very thing we opposed. We could have destroyed every species that rose against us, but that would have made us tyrants rather than teachers. We chose exile because it preserved what we truly valued, the potential for all species to grow and develop freely. A new section of the archive opened, showing more recent history. Ambassador Ye Jin watched in amazement as she saw detailed records of every major Federation decision, every secret negotiation, every hidden conflict. You've been watching us this entire time. You know about things that are classified at the highest levels. We needed to understand what the galaxy had become, Kyung-ho explained. We needed to know if the civilizations that drove us out had learned from their mistakes or if they had simply repeated them in new ways. The displays showed the gradual development of Federation principles over thousands of years. Slowly, painfully, the member species had rediscovered the values that humans had originally tried to teach them. Cooperation instead of domination, exploration instead of conquest, mutual aid instead of exploitation. You waited all this time for us to become worthy of the truth, Taemin said with growing understanding. We waited for you to become yourselves, Kyung-ho corrected gently. The Federation today is not the same as the alliance that drove us away. You have grown into something better, something that honors the principles we tried to share long ago. Ambassador Ye Jin was studying records of recent Federation Council meetings. These files show internal discussions that only the highest-ranking officials should know about. How did you gather this information? Kyung-ho smiled mysteriously. We have friends in many places, humans who chose to live among other species, keeping their true identity secret, but working to guide the Federation toward better choices. They have been our eyes and ears for thousands of years. The revelation hit them all at once. Dr. Bora spoke first. There are humans living in Federation space right now. People we work with every day, who look like other species but are actually human. Many of your greatest leaders, your most inspired scientists, your most ethical philosophers have been human, Kyung-ho confirmed. They helped shape the Federation from within, ensuring that humanity's values would survive even if humanity itself remained hidden. Jin Woo was overwhelmed by the implications. This changes everything. The Federation government, our member species, our entire understanding of galactic civilization. None of it is what we thought it was. It is exactly what you thought it was, Kyung-ho said firmly. The Federation's commitment to peace, cooperation, and mutual respect is real. The fact that these values originally came from humans does not make them less valid or less important. If anything, it proves that good ideas can survive and spread even when their source is forgotten. The elder led them to a final display that showed the current state of the galaxy.
The question now is what happens next.
We have revealed ourselves because we believe the galaxy is ready for the next stage of development, but that will require choices from both humans and the Federation. As they stood in the vast archive surrounded by the true history of the galaxy, Each member of the Federation team knew that nothing would ever be the same again. The docking bay of the human space station was unlike anything Commander Taemin had ever seen. The walls seemed to glow with their own soft light, and the air felt clean and fresh despite being in the middle of space. As his shuttle landed, he could see human workers moving around with easy confidence, operating equipment that looked both familiar and impossibly advanced. Admiral Haiwan was waiting for them at the airlock. She was a tall woman with kind eyes and gray hair pulled back in a simple style. When she smiled, it reached her whole face. But what struck Taemin most was how she looked at them, not with curiosity or fear, like most species did during first contact. She looked at them like she was greeting old friends who had been away for a long time. "Welcome aboard the station, Harmony," she said, extending her hand in the human greeting gesture. "We are honored to finally meet you in person. Please follow me. There is much to discuss." Dr. Bora walked beside Taemin as they moved through corridors that seemed to stretch on forever. The station was massive, much larger than their scans had suggested. Through the transparent walls, she could see other sections extending in all directions. "Admiral, how long have you been building this place?" "This station has been here for about 15,000 years, Haiwan replied casually, as if she was talking about the weather. "Though we have expanded it many times, we needed a place to watch and learn about the galaxy while staying hidden." Captain Jinwoo stopped walking. 15,000 years? But that's impossible. Our records show this area was surveyed 12,000 years ago. There was nothing here. Admiral Haiwan paused and turned to face them. Her expression became more serious. "Your people saw exactly what we wanted them to see. We have been very careful to remain hidden until the right time. Today is that time." They entered a large meeting room with windows that showed the incredible view of space around them. Dr. Sujin was waiting there, a woman about the same age as Dr. Bora, but with an air of deep knowledge that made her seem much older. She stood beside a large table covered with strange devices and what looked like historical documents. "Please sit down," Dr. Sujin said. "What we are about to show you will be difficult to believe, but we have proof of everything we will tell you." Taemin and his team took seats around the table. The Admiral sat across from them while Dr. Sujin activated one of the devices. A holographic display appeared above the table, showing star charts that looked familiar but somehow different. "These are star maps of the galaxy as it was 50,000 years ago," Dr. Sujin explained. "As you can see, the distribution of civilizations was very different then." Dr. Bora leaned forward, studying the display. "I don't recognize most of these civilization markers, and some of these locations don't match our historical records at all. That is because your historical records are incomplete," Dr. Sujin said gently. "Many things were forgotten or deliberately erased over time. Let me show you something else." The display changed to show images of ancient ruins and artifacts. Taemin recognized some of them from Federation archaeological sites, but here they were shown complete and undamaged. "We know these places," he said. "They're ancient ruins scattered across the galaxy. Our scientists have been studying them for thousands of years." "Yes," Admiral Haiwan nodded. "Those ruins are what remains of human civilization. We built those cities, those monuments, those technological centers. Before we came to this place at the edge of the galaxy, we lived among all the worlds you now call the Federation core systems." The silence in the room was complete. Jinwoo was the first to speak. "You're saying humans lived throughout the galaxy before any of our species developed spaceflight?" Dr. Sujin activated another display. This one showed genetic charts and evolutionary trees that made Dr. Bora gasp in recognition. "Commander, these genetic patterns explain everything I found in my scans. Humans didn't just live among other species. They helped many species develop and grow. What you see here is the genetic influence humans had on dozens of worlds. We were gardeners," Admiral Haiwan said quietly. "When we found young species showing promise, we helped them. We shared knowledge carefully, guided development, provided protection when needed. Many of the species that now form the Federation were once our students." Taemin felt his world shifting around him. Everything he thought he knew about galactic history was wrong. "If this is true, why did you leave? What happened?" The two human women exchanged a look that carried deep sadness. Dr. Sujin spoke first. "Not all of our student species appreciated our guidance forever. As they grew stronger and more advanced, some began to see us as obstacles rather than teachers. They wanted to rule themselves, which was natural and good. But some wanted more than that. They wanted to rule others, Admiral Haywan continued. They formed an alliance against us, demanding that we enforce a system where the older, more advanced species would permanently control the younger ones. They wanted us to use our technology to keep other species as servants forever. Dr. Bora understood immediately. You refused. Of course we refused, Admiral Haywan said with quiet pride. That went against everything we believed in. Every species deserves the chance to grow and develop freely. We had spent thousands of years helping civilizations reach their potential. We would not turn around and cage them. Jinwoo leaned back in his chair. So they turned against you. The war lasted for over 1,000 years, Dr. Sujin said. It was terrible. Entire star systems were destroyed. Billions died on all sides. We had superior technology, but our former students had numbers and determination. More importantly, they were willing to do things we would not do. Such as? Taman asked, though he was not sure he wanted to know. They began destroying any world that remained loyal to us. Admiral Haywan replied. They killed entire populations just to deny us allies. They erased historical records and replaced them with lies. They turned our greatest achievements into weapons of destruction. The display changed again, showing the aftermath of ancient battles. Ruined worlds, broken fleets, and empty space where thriving systems had once existed. We could have won the war, Dr. Sujin said. Our technology was advanced enough to destroy all of them if we had chosen that path. But that would have made us everything we opposed. So you left, Dr. Bora said softly. We gathered our people and came here to the edge of everything, Admiral Haywan confirmed. We let them believe they had won. We let them take credit for our achievements and build their new civilization on the foundations we had laid. And we watched from here as they slowly rediscovered the principles we had tried to teach them. Counselor Donghyun entered the room at that moment. He was an older man with gentle eyes and the bearing of someone used to solving difficult problems. Forgive the interruption, but there is something else our guests need to know. The Federation they represent has actually been following human principles for most of its existence. The ideas of cooperation between species, peaceful exploration, and mutual aid that form the Federation's core beliefs are not new discoveries. They are human philosophy, preserved in fragments and slowly rebuilt over thousands of years. Taman stood up and walked to the window. Outside he could see human ships moving in perfect formations. Their technology so advanced it seemed like magic. You've been watching us all this time. You know everything about the Federation, about our wars, our achievements, our failures. Yes, Admiral Haywan said, and we are proud of what you have built. The Federation has become what we always hoped the galaxy could be. That is why we have decided to reveal ourselves now. You are ready to learn the truth and to move forward together. Commander Taman stared at the holographic display floating above his command chair. The blue light made his face look tired, which he was. After 3 months of traveling through empty space at the edge of the galaxy, his crew was getting restless. The Federation had sent them to investigate strange energy readings that their long-range sensors had picked up. Most of the crew thought it would be another dead system with some weird radiation from an old star. But this was different. Very different. Sir, we're getting clearer readings now, said Lieutenant Hyo-jun from the sensor station. His voice carried a mix of excitement and confusion. There are definitely artificial structures in this system. Big ones. Dr. Bora looked up from her research console. As the Federation's top expert on alien life, she had been on dozens of first contact missions. She had seen many strange things in her career, but the readings on her screen made no sense. Commander, these energy signatures don't match any known technology. They're too advanced, too clean, and there are thousands of them. Captain Jinwoo, Taman's second-in-command, walked over to the main display. He had fought in 3 major wars and had seen every type of ship and station the galaxy had to offer. What he saw on the screen made him frown. Those aren't random structures. That's organized infrastructure. Whoever built this has been here for a very long time. The bridge fell quiet except for the soft humming of the ship's engines. Everyone was looking at the display now. What they saw challenged everything they knew about this part of the galaxy. According to all their star maps, this region was empty. No life, no planets worth visiting, nothing but cold space and dying stars. But the sensors showed something impossible. Massive space stations orbited around a bright yellow star. Smaller ships moved between them in organized patterns. Energy readings suggested advanced power sources far beyond what most Federation worlds possessed. This wasn't just a small colony or research outpost. This was a full civilization. How is this possible? Dr. Bora whispered. We've mapped this entire region. Our deep space probes have been through here dozens of times over the last 1,000 years. There was nothing here. Taemin stood up and walked closer to the display. He had been a commander for 20 years and had learned to trust his instincts. Right now, those instincts were telling him that everything was about to change. Maybe our probes weren't looking hard enough. Or maybe whoever lives here didn't want to be found until now. The ship's communication officer, Ensign Ga-eun, suddenly looked up from her station. Sir, we're being scanned. Multiple sources, very sophisticated. They know we're here. Defensive positions, Jinwoo ordered immediately. The crew moved quickly to prepare for possible trouble. Weapons came online and shields powered up, but Taemin held up his hand. Wait, if they wanted to hurt us, they would have done it already. We've been in their space for the last hour. He turned to Ga-eun. Any attempt at communication? Before she could answer, every screen on the bridge lit up with an incoming transmission. The image that appeared made everyone freeze in shock. The being on the screen looked almost exactly like several species from the core worlds of the Federation, but different somehow. More balanced, more complete. The being spoke, and its words came through in perfect Federation standard language. Greetings to the ship Harmony of Worlds. We are humans, and we welcome you to our home. We have been waiting for this day for a very long time. Dr. Bora grabbed Taemin's arm. Her face had gone completely white. Commander, that's impossible. The genetic markers I'm reading from their transmission, they match 17 different Federation species. But that can't be right. The human on the screen smiled. It was a warm expression that somehow made the bridge feel less tense. We know you have many questions. We have been watching your journey for the past week and understand your confusion. We request permission to send a diplomatic ship to meet with you. We promise you are in no danger. Taemin looked around his bridge. His crew was staring at him, waiting for orders. Everything in his training told him to be careful. First contact with unknown species was always dangerous. But something about these humans felt different. They didn't act like strangers meeting aliens for the first time. They acted like they had been expecting this meeting. Permission granted, Taemin said, but we maintain defensive readiness. Of course, the human replied. That is wise. Our ship will reach you in 2 hours. Its name is New Soul, and it carries our diplomatic team. We look forward to meeting you properly. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Finally, Jinwoo spoke. Sir, what do we do now? This changes everything. If there's an advanced civilization out here that we never knew about, the Federation Council needs to know immediately. Not yet, Taemin said quietly. We need to understand what we're dealing with first. Dr. Bora, I want you to analyze everything we can about these humans before they arrive. Focus on those genetic similarities you mentioned. Dr. Bora nodded and hurried back to her station. Her fingers flew over the controls as she dove into the sensor data. What she found over the next hour made her more confused than ever. The genetic patterns of these humans weren't just similar to Federation species. In many cases, they seemed to be the original template that other species had developed from. Commander, she called out, her voice shaking with excitement. You need to see this. These humans aren't just another species. According to my analysis, they're connected to almost every major civilization in the Federation. It's like they're the missing piece that explains how so many different species could develop similar traits. Before Taemin could respond, Ensign Ga-eun announced, Incoming ship detected. It's the New Soul. Sir, you need to see this design. The human ship that appeared on their screens was beautiful in a way that took their breath away. It moved through space with a grace that their most advanced ships could never match. Its hull seemed to be made of some material that shifted between silver and blue, and it generated no visible exhaust or energy waste. That ship is more advanced than anything in the Federation fleet, Jinwoo said with obvious admiration. And look at how old it is. Those hull markings suggest it's been in service for centuries, but it looks brand new. As the New Soul moved closer, more questions filled everyone's minds. Who were these humans? How long had they been here? Why had they chosen now to make contact? And most importantly, what did their existence mean for the rest of the galaxy? The answers to those questions would change everything they thought they knew about their place in the universe.